Be Frank Network.
All right, welcome to another very special episode of Happy Never After. I have an incredible guest with us who knows a lot about restarting from the host of Get Off My Lawn, Gavin Mcinnis. Hi, Gavin. How are you? Welcome.
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, you've had quite the career. And just the one marriage?
Just the one marriage for now, yep. I understand you've been divorced thrice?
3 times, yeah. Yep. Engaged 7.
What is going on with you?
I'm learning this year how to say no. That was my pandemic promise to myself. Don't say yes. Say no first.
Are you like amazing in bed but crazy?
I'm not crazy anymore. I think I'm past that phase. But yes, I do believe that I have an amazing puss. So, yeah, I'm athletic.
I see 1% Latina in your accent.
No, I think what happens is I do personal training during the day, and I have clients, and I mimic and mirror them, and sometimes it takes me a minute to lose their accent. But I'm very much from the Midwest. I'm from Northern Michigan.
Are you super Christian?
No, God, no. No.
Well, that's because, you 3 marriages, that's like Dolly Parton. You think of celebrities or super Christian people that can't have sex without marriage or crazy.
I grew up Catholic, very Catholic. And I did get married to get the fuck out of the house. But then afterwards, I was like, I got married to a hot guy that I married for 17 days. And then I married somebody else because, got to keep my numbers up. And then, then I became sane. And here we are today. Yeah.
I would pay to be your therapist.
I've paid a lot of people to be my therapist. I've had quite a few.
Well, start making money at it now. I'll pay you $500 an hour to try to figure out what's going on with you.
Well, I have a big fan of yours as a boyfriend now. Huge fan.
Okay.
That's, I was like, I thought you were going to wear a suit today. I saw a suit yesterday. I was like, what the fuck? He comes in with his sweater on. I thought I was going to get, fancy.
You can't get much fancier than this. The fur, actual fur.
Now, how did you meet your wife?
Well, it was before internet dating, and I had left a business card in a woman's vagina, and
okay,
she
found it.
Yeah, when you're with other women, you want to eat their pussy, not just to please them, but when you're single, word gets out that you eat a mean pussy. And I'm the king of pussy eating. I literally wrote the book on it. And, the secret is to start slow. You want to be a pig at the trough because you're so happy to be there. But she doesn't want to be a trough. She wants to be an orchid.
Yes.
So you start really slow, and then you slowly build up. You only go bananas at the end. Anyway, that was Jen Farnham, I think her name was. And then, so I planted that seed. That was my business card. And then also in our sort of scene, like pre-internet dating, you had scenes. I'm sure there was like a jazz scene and a football scene and whatever. So our scene was like sort of the post-punk streetwear Vice kind of a scene.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen, whose pussy I ate, she worked at Fat Records in San Francisco. And my wife knew her. So they had talked about the pussy. And then she knew like the Vice scene. I was sort of well known in that little community. And that's your internet dating. That's your little profile.
Did you send a dick pic?
What?
Did you send a dick pic at the time?
There's no dick pics. There was barely, yeah. So I meet her at Max Fish. And here's another great thing about that. She had just broken up with her boyfriend of 5 years. She said, I want to move from San Francisco to New York. She moved to New York. She'd only been here for a few months. And she went to a wedding. Now, at the wedding, women start worrying about their fertility and am I going to be single forever? And she was depressed. And that's when the eagle seeks his prey. So she was depressed. I had coke. She knew me from the scene. I had left a business card in her friend's pussy. So all of that was a perfect storm. It was a pretty reckless time. I mean, I was screwing everything that moved. But eventually, we stopped being fuck buddies and I put a ring on it.
Yeah, what happens in the transition between being a fuck boy and settling down?
I hate that word, fuck boy.
Well, we can't love everything.
It sounds so gay. It sounds like twink. I was having a fight with Talib Kweli on Twitter back before I was banned. And he kept calling me fuckboy, B-O-I. And I'm like, dude, that sounds like a really hardcore gay dating term. Like it makes you look like a fag. So don't call me asshole or white boy or something. But anyway, fuck buddy. So I think what happens is you grow up. And that's what I try to promote with these young men. I go, guys, we've been sowing our wild oats for at least 10 years. In my case, it was almost 20 years. How much coke do you have to do? How many threesomes do you have to have? Grow up, go to the next chapter, put a ring on it, get married. And so I lived with her for a little while. It was 6 months. We lived together, no drop down, drag out fights. And I said, well, I think this is going to work. Took her to Paris, had an elaborate thing set up where a little girl comes up to her with a crumpled up paper bag and says, bonjour, madame, j'ai un petit cadeau pour vous. And she opens it up. Hello, ma'am, I have a little present for you. There's the ring. She's in tears, dancing around. And then I tried
romantic. Do you know that you came and told the story on a show with me before? Do you remember meeting me the first time?
No, and I can't see you right now. I'm just staring into a camera.
I can't?
You have black hair now?
I do have black hair now. Yes, I was blonde. I used to be on the Beige Phillips show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got so hammered that day.
Were you hammered? Because I got so mad at you.
What was our fight about again?
You remember that we fought because then we saw each other at Anthony Cumia and I was like, fuck. And I put my head down. I was like, he's going to remember. Neither of us are going to have a good show. It's going to be weird. And then you had no clue and you were so nice to me. And I was like, I should have him on my show and we should talk about this.
Yeah, I remember fighting with the other guy, I think. Everyone was giving these sex tips on how to get laid. And I was like, when did you last get laid?
I was the only one getting fucked in that whole room consistently. I was married at the time, obviously, again. Okay, so you were picking on Harry, the producer.
Yep.
I wish you could see me. You were picking on Harry, and I thought the way that you were delivering your jokes, I wasn't taking them as jokes in the room, but when I listened back, I was like, oh, he was trying to throw a punchline. And then Dante was being awkward as fuck. And then Harry wasn't sticking up for himself, so I stuck up for him. And then you turned and you got mad at me for sticking up for him. And then we fought about Harry, and I had to be the man. I was the only one getting fucked in a room on a show about fucking, and I had to be the man on a show about being a man. So,
I thought Dante crushes pussy.
What? I thought he got like married. No, he wasn't. He had like one girlfriend at the time, and that's when you guys started working with the Proud Boys together, right?
Yeah, we kind of invented it together, and then he stabbed me in the back.
Oh, he stabbed you in the back. That's consistent. So what do you want to talk? What happened? Talk to me about that. What happened with that?
Well, let's get back to the fight just briefly, and I'll get into the back. So I was just annoyed that we're sitting here talking about how to crush pussy and the guy hadn't crushed pussy. So I called him out on it. I was being funny, but I was also being mean. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm mean to people who deserve it. I mean, I wouldn't go pick on someone in a wheelchair. But like at my bar the other day, this guy, a compulsive liar who says he's a Marine nurse, even though there's no such thing as a Marine nurse. He lied about his grandson on a respirator. And then after I was making fun of him for getting dumped, and I had one of the best lines I've ever had, I said, it must hurt to be left by someone, to be abandoned by someone who's clearly so perceptive. So then I'm laughing at my own joke, taking a piss, and I come back, and he goes, hey, did I tell you that my daughter OD'd on Xanax? They found her in the bathtub. She's in the hospital now. And I go, then I lost it on him, right? Because it's another stupid lie.
Lie, right.
I was just making fun of him for pretending to be this pussy crusher. And if you defended him, then you were wrong too. And I was right. I think you're realizing now in retrospect that I was right for that whole thing, right?
You were saying that he hadn't ever gotten laid, I think, was your... And I was like, no, he actually has. But I'm one of those people, I'm like, if you come into someone's house, you respect that house. But...
Not a
or you
podcast
leave.
House. I was at a podcast studio.
Well, it was in Dante's house.
I wouldn't come over for dinner and start shitting on someone. But when we're doing a show, it's like when the Sex Pistols were on Bill Grundy. And they started going, you dirty old man. You dirty fucking rotter.
But you know when you have siblings that you love and you would protect to all ends and you thought that was reciprocal love and then you realize, no, it wasn't. Like I would defend, if we were in a family together, if we were on a show together, if we had a relationship, I would defend you to the death, because that's the type of friend I am. And that was my position.
I get you. I get you. So that's honorable, but I was still right to make fun of him. Anyway, let's drop that. He's a loser. He's a male. He's a fat tub of shit.
That's why I wanted to have you on, so we could just move past it. I was like, let's just bury the hatchet.
He's never going to get married. He'll get like 3 more blowjobs till he dies. It's pathetic.
If he pays for them.
Yeah. I like Dante, but when NPR did a big thing on Proud Boys, and by the way, the Proud Boys worshipped the ground Dante walked on. When we would have meetups at the very beginning, there'd be like half the crew would be over by Dante. All the virgins and the Harrys would be getting advice from Dante. He has all these things like, you got to throw bricks. And that means like you have to go up to a girl 5 times a day and just say like, hey, nice dress. Just any kind of connection. Interesting stuff, smart stuff. And then when his mom died, they all had a fundraiser. They raised $800 for him. Dante's rich. He works for Verizon. He probably makes $80,000 a year, and he lives in his dead mom's house.
Yeah.
So the guy's set. But anyway, they raised $800 for him. And then when the NPR did this documentary, he said, yeah, they drift into some pretty unfortunate racist shit. And you know why he said that?
To get fame or to get some like BLM stuff?
He's always been famous in a sense. There's 2 types of blacks in New York. There's Brooklyn blacks and Harlem blacks. Harlem blacks are constantly hustling. They're like Eliza Banks. They've got a clothing line. They got a party coming this Friday. They always have a hustle.
Azalea Banks?
Azalea Banks, sorry.
Yes.
They always have a hustle going. Like when she did the 212 and that blew up, she started a website where she sells like her fucking Jamaican cake bread or whatever the hell she's selling in her fucking voodoo soaps.
She does well.
That's Harlem. They were wearing tight pants first, when Brooklyn blacks were still wearing baggy pants. Brooklyn blacks are totally different species. And they tend to not have a hustle. They have this poor me attitude and everything's racist. And there's a lot more welfare down in Brooklyn. And they believe all of this BLM shit where every time I get in my car, I don't know if I'm going to come back alive. And Dante's one of those guys, big Barack Obama screensaver on his Facebook. So when people make sort of edgy jokes, he's like, see, more racism. Like Brooklyn blacks see racism in everything. Harlem blacks don't even talk about racism. They're too busy.
Well,
so that's why Dante was to the wolves. And I said, the last thing I ever said to him was, did you mention the $800 they raised for you when your mom died? And he's like, no, I didn't mention that. And it was just like, bye. We had a T-shirt of him that said Dante Nero, the Pope.
Yes. There were some Reddit streams that were not as favorable to him, but, whatever.
That's the way it is with guys at a men's club. You call each other faggots and you denigrate each other. It's how guys talk. I'm at the gym every morning, the boxing gym. You should hear the way we talk to each other. I'm talking to Larry Barnes, a world champion, saying, I think the pugilistic dementia has you thinking you can take me.
What? Wait, you're still going boxing? Where are you that they're open?
Oh, I can't say the name of the gym.
Oh, don't tell me the name of the gym.
I got punched in the jaw, and if I clench my teeth now, it feels like fire here. I also think he punched a cold into me because I have this tickle at the top of my nose where you get the swab for COVID. I've been sneezing like a lunatic. I think he broke something in my sinuses that makes it feel like I have a cold.
Okay, so I do personal training during the day, and your jaw is connected to your sinus, your TMD. So, that is all where they're doing that testing. So that is probably accurate. Because a lot of people that have TMDD will have inflamed sinuses. So
what's TMDD? Is that thing you get when you take Adderall and you clench your jaw too much?
Yeah, or if you just grind. Or if you do a lot of coke, or ecstasy does it too. Yeah. Yeah. Or if you had braces and they pull your jaw forward. Yep.
You can feel it swollen.
Yeah, your tensoromandibular joint, your TMJ, and then the D is disorder.
One thing I want to ask you as a trainer. So I was talking to Anthony Cumia about testosterone.
Yes.
And I said, I tried this shit that my balls would make more testosterone.
Okay.
It also makes like raspberries for some reason. I don't know.
It makes what taste like raspberries?
It said it made them taste like raspberries, but that's not true. It makes them generate more testosterone. Mm-hmm. So if you go off it, you still know how to make testosterone. You don't start growing boobies or anything.
Okay.
So I forget what it's called, but I was taking that for a while. My hair started falling out like crazy.
Yes,
felt like I took Gavin's body or something, and I was just like. I was weird around people, and I just didn't feel like me.
You're too high a dosage.
Maybe. I said to Cumia, don't take it. Try mixing it up. Because I think what his trainer now he has the exact same routine every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed I do boxing like 3 days a week and then 2 days as a trainer. And the trainer is different stuff every time. And I've noticed a huge difference since I started doing that. So I think the key is variety.
Well, Anthony does love routine.
Yeah.
So he probably is doing the same thing. And I can't imagine a trainer having a strong enough personality to be able to direct him in a different way. So, I mean, you have to be a pretty strong trainer to be like, shut the fuck up. I know what I'm doing. We're doing it this way.
But don't you think variety is the key to getting like muscles?
Absolutely. There's said principle, which is specific adaptation to imposed demands. So your body does get used to doing the same thing over and over again. It can happen to each person individually. It could happen within 3 days. It could happen within 6 weeks. You just have to see how people work, how their body changes. So yes, I think that he should probably be doing some more high intensity stuff also. So get his cardio game up a little bit. I think that would be the key.
It's not worth having grains of sand for balls and going bald. Again, I think he's already had hair plugs.
But that's what I tell all my girlfriends when they're like, I don't want to date this guy because he's bald. I'm like, that just means he has way more testosterone typically. So go for it. He's going to fuck the shit out of you.
Some guy said that to me. He said, I was talking about divorce and he goes, we do fine if we're divorced because we have hair. That's all it is. In these new dating apps, they just go bald, bald, bald hair, bald, bald, bald hair.
I tried to date one bald guy during the pandemic time. And I was like, nope, not worth it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Sucks.
The only thing bad about being a dude is you have that one thing. Although if girls have thin hair, which is incredibly rare, we have 2 deal breakers. If we're in the movie theater and you're sitting in front of us and we can see your scalp, like you're balding, there's nothing you can do about that. Go to Singapore and get plugged. And then the only other one is like pizza tits, where it just looks like a folded shirt. Like there's just no meat in the bags whatsoever. They're just flaps.
Yeah.
That we can't work. And everything else outside of like 350 pounds, we can work with.
I went to a nursing home one time to talk about fitness and dental health. And this woman got completely naked next to me in her wheelchair while I was doing my talk. And I looked over finally and her nipples she was sitting straight up and her nipples were touching her quads. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be like No, I have fake tits. My boobs are half mine, half science, and they're perfect. So, and that's how it's going to stay because I have an income. Okay, that's.
Yeah, I know what's going on with you now. I figured it out. You are a personal trainer, so the sex is insane.
Yes.
And the guy goes, well, this sex must be so good because we're in love. Then he starts acting all lovey-dovey, and then you go, oh, this guy's in love with me. And then after a while, you realize, oh, this was just sex.
Yeah, yes. So the dude that is a huge fan of yours, which is what spurred this, because we haven't seen each other in a long time because no one gets to see each other anymore. So I kept seeing you on our screen in the office, and he fights with me all the time. And then he goes back home to Texas. And I told him, I was like, I need to see if it's just like the orgasm or if I actually like you, because the oxytocin will wear off, and I'm gonna have to see if I still want you to come back. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever been away from your wife and you're just like, oh, this is better?
No, never. No, what happens with my wife and I is with 3 kids, we don't really get to know each other. And sometimes we'll go, before COVID, we would go away and we go, oh yeah, I like you. But we can go weeks without really seeing each other because of the kids.
Do you feel like when you're home together, you don't communicate, you just play with the kids or take care of the kids? Or
they're on their screens and we may have a movie night or something. Before, when the kids were at school, we used to have hump day, and that was like anything goes, lingerie, woo, you could yell. We had the whole house to ourselves, but that's been taken away, so that sucks. But a great book is Charles Murray's The Curmudgeon's Guide to Getting Ahead. And he talks about how to choose your mate. And he says there's certain deal breakers and other things are unimportant. Like say you're punctual and it's really important to you to be punctual. Mm-hmm. Don't marry someone who's not punctual. Or if you're a neat freak, don't marry someone who's messy. But I think with my wife and I, we both like humor a lot. And I know that will get us through everything. So we survived. But man, these past couple of years have been so fucking insane. I've been canceled from everything, painted as a Nazi, totally misunderstood. And that affects her and the kids' lives and their futures. So our marriage has really been tested now. I wouldn't be surprised if I get dumped.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Let's go back to that comment in 1 second, because I do want to touch on that. But you have had quite the up and down career, and if anything, I admire your persistence in getting back up and keep on going. So how do you not turn yourself into a victim pity party? Do you ever have that and move forward, or do you think you're just ignorant? Have you been hit in the face too many times in your boxing that you just don't think about it, or what? Like, what's the deal?
It hurts to go like this.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that then. You should probably take a couple of days and ice it and take some anti-inflammatories and then worry about it.
Me too, because he wanted me to go fucking 6 rounds. And I go, I can't, I'm not doing 6 rounds. And I've never done more than 3 before. And I go, I think my jaw is broken. They go, oh, I never seen that before. I never seen nobody pretend to have a broken jaw before. That's a new one. Like, I'm not lying, asshole. If I have a fire going on right here, and if I clench, it feels like something's broken. Anyway, it's not broken, it's strained. But to answer your question, it's not bravery. I don't have a choice. When I was a little kid, I was put in a retard class. And the class was not for retards. Well, it was for retards. But it was also for the detritus, just the weirdos. So there was one girl there who had cancer. She was not dumb. She had normal grades, but teachers didn't want to look at her bald head because of the chemo, so they put her in the retard class. Jesus. Or there was a kid there who had 100% average in math, but Steve Zarth was his name. And he was autistic, so people didn't like his bug eyes, so he was in the class. It was just, and I was there because I was the class clown.
Where the fuck did you grow up?
Canada. I was born in Britain. My parents are Scottish, but my parents moved to Canada when I was about 5. So this is in Ottawa. And my dad was furious because where he's from, the slums of Glasgow, if you don't have an education, you're like, you work on this fucking coal mines. Mm-hmm. So he thought that's the way it is now, which obviously it's the opposite, actually. The tradesmen are the rich guys and the academics are the broke losers. Anywho, he would say, don't fucking misbehave again. If I hear about you getting on a detention or getting reported or getting suspended again, I'll fucking murder you. I'll bury you so well. Hanging will be too good for yous. That guy's mad. So I would literally sit on my hands and be like, shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth. And it would be like, hey, guys, we're going to do the dress code today. There's no short skirts allowed. And I'd be like, and I just couldn't resist. I'd be like, Mr. Gunn, what about nude? Why don't we all come to school nude? Then we don't have to worry about a dress code. And you go, well, oh, why don't you start, Mr. Mcinnis? And I'll be like, ladies first, right, guys? Detention. Furious day. So I'm not doing this to be brave or to fight for free speech. I can't shut my fucking mouth.
Okay, so kind of an idiot,
but
which is cool.
Ups and downs. Like with Vice, we were getting banned, and for this, like in the early 90s, political correctness really hit its stride in 95 when we started Vice. By 2000, we were big enough to hold it back. And I would argue that me and Vice held political correctness back from 2000 to 2005. 2005, it was starting to crack. And then Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, said, maybe women aren't taking STEM because they're just not into it. It's natural that they're not in STEM. And then the gates went, the flood began. And from 2000, past 15 years, it's been lunacy. And my normal transgressions have gotten more and more insane, even though they're just the same stupid shit. Like when I said trans people are just mentally ill gays, they're not a different gender. That got my ad agency shut down, but it wasn't like insane. Now I have people, Zeke heiling me when I walk down the street. This new level is over the top.
So this is not the reaction that you're looking for.
Never. I've never said anything crazy. I don't even believe in disagreements. I think it's just one person knows more information than the other person.
I know. I really thought that our fight, putting it under the rug situation was going to be much more controversial. And it really was just like, oh, you're chill. I'm chill. Okay. All right. Next topic.
Your loser friend, which is noble. And I was making fun of a loser, which is natural.
I wonder if he has ever gotten laid since the show. Have you talked to them?
This is ironically why Dante and I pushed no wanks. It's for guys like him. Don't beat off. Don't masturbate. If you're in a marriage, you end up getting your wife pregnant. You worship her more. You don't want to be in the doghouse because the water only comes from one tap. So you'll die of thirst. And then if you're a millennial or a Harry, then you start going out and talking to girls because you're starving.
You're forced to.
You got to cut out the fucking free food. Dante and I discovered it by accident. Do you know this story?
No.
I was like, I'm not going to beat off for a week. It just fell out of my mouth. And then he goes, fuck a week. I'll do a month. And they go, you're on $100 honor system or something like that, right?
But you could fuck your wife and he could fuck whatever he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's even easier than that. You can masturbate, but you can only ejaculate within 1 yard of a woman. This isn't for gays. Gays don't have a problem. And it's not for women either. Just for straight men. You can ejaculate within a yard of your significant other with her permission. So she can't be asleep. But say she's pregnant or menstruating, she can just like reach over and tickle your balls like, oh, God.
You won't run a red light? You won't fuck your wife when she's bleeding?
Oh, yeah, I'll run a red light, but they tend not to be that horny, I find.
Oh, all right.
Maybe it's just women are looking for any excuse and they're like, hey, I'm menstruating, so sorry, you probably hate that. And like,
I fuck on my period. I mean, it's more challenging. You have to put a towel down and if you like cleanliness, but
that's why red towels exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, we stopped doing it, and then I'm texting him like we were pretty good buddies before the NPR thing. Isn't NPR good work? NPR, in the name of fighting racism, you separated a black guy and a white friend. You sabotaged a friendship. Way to go. Anyway, I started texting him. I'm like, dude, I'm skipping when I go down the street, and I'm singing in the shower, and I'm cracking myself up with hilarious jokes. And he goes, I'm stronger now. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just a better person. And sometimes we'd text each other and say, I fell off the horse. I looked at porn and beat off. And he's like, well, that sucks, buddy. Well, you got to get it back on. And so then we started sort of marketing it and saying, guys, you got to try this. Just do 10 days. No porn, no beating off. And everyone would come back to us going, dude, I'm a genius. It was an episode of Seinfeld, but it's true.
Who were these? How did you start this group? So you already had an audience of these boys.
Yeah, it was really it started because we were noticing that masculinity was dying. And I had a producer, Ben Ratner. He was 22 and a fucking virgin. And he had just gone to Disneyland with some pals, including girls. And they all got rooms. They didn't bring any booze. And there was no fucking. And I go, what are you, Mormons? He's like, I don't know. And then I got this porn star, Mercedes Carrera, who I just talked to in prison last night. She's like, I'll fuck him. And I go, Mercedes Carrera, Ben, look her up. You're fucking her. I'm going to stab you and your entire family. And he goes, no, thanks. Pardonnez-moi. And I had all these plans for him. Like, we're going to get you a motorcycle, nothing fancy. It could be 50 cc's, leather jacket. You're going to go with some facial hair. You're going to go to the gym. You're going to start boxing. We're going to make you into a man. And he kept resisting it. But other people were taking the tips. And then it became like older guys who are from my generation. My generation was like the last bastion of manliness, like fighting in school and it not getting reported and that kind of stuff.
Can you build stuff?
What?
Can you build things?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Oh, yeah. I can't fix a car. Can
you drive a stick shift?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Gen X was just the last bastion. So the boomers, they can like change out a radiator and stuff. I have to admit, a lot of them have more manly skills than us. Gen X can do everything but fix cars. Maybe a lot of electricity they have a bit of trouble with. Plumbing they're not great at. And then after us, nothing. They can't even make fucking toast. So we started that way. And then I went to this piano recital where this little boy sang Proud of Your Boy from Aladdin. And I was just horrified because everyone was playing the piano and the guitar and the drums. And then this little kid comes out. He's like 12 and he's going, proud of your boy. And I was just going, ew, there's no way that his father is proud, or his father probably doesn't even exist. He's probably flown the coop long ago. So then we started making fun of that song, and it sort of became a thing where it was really, and then we had all these dumb rules. Like, and when I was in high school, I had a gang called the Monks. It was mods and punks. And I've always been sort of like, let's be a gang. Even in the suburbs now, I have this Magadad crew where we meet and get beers every couple of weeks. So it's just a natural inclination. But there was this insane demand for men's clubs because they were ubiquitous from the Industrial Revolution to 1985. And then they just vanished overnight. So I didn't realize that I was basically inventing the car. I was Henry Ford. And all these guys were freaking out because they were finally getting masculinity back and having man time and dude time. So then it became like the Knights of Columbus. And it had all these parameters, and we had a ceremony at every meeting where we read this thing out and blah, blah, blah. And the initiations where you have to name 5 breakfast cereals, which was a high school thing we did. If you farted and didn't say safety, they got to beat you up till you could name 5 breakfast cereals. So that was just a silly, funny, like comedy fans podcast kind of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And we like Trump. Antifa sees that as a threat. So when I did a talk at NYU, I got pepper sprayed and they attacked us. So we just beat them up. The violent part of Proud Boys is just a reaction to Antifa violence. We want to go back to the pub and drink Budweiser again.
Right.
But there's this violence that the media is totally ignoring. It boggles the mind that Proud Boys are seen as this violent group that starts fights when Antifa and BLM have been burning down cities for, what is it now, 6 months? 32 dead at these riots, $3 billion in damage. Every major city has experienced rioting. Every state has had a statue taken down. And they're like, yeah, but Proud Boys, they're racist. Really? Is the black guy who runs it racist? You fucking wimps.
Is he black? I thought he was a mixture of.
Is Obama black?
I believe so.
He's a mixture.
I didn't know that Enrique was even a partial black.
Yeah, he's Afro-Cuban.
Oh, okay. I thought he was something else.
Sometimes Latinos say they're not black. When they are black, they say, no, I'm Dominican or something.
When did he take over?
When I stepped down.
And you stepped down in 2018?
Yeah, that sounds right. I stepped down because they were using me as a gang leader to put gang charges on Max and John, these 2 Proud Boys who are in prison right now for a 17-second fight. So I took that out of the equation so the DA wouldn't have that as an angle. I don't know if it worked.
So how long before you started this cartoonish, fun guys, men be men group to the Antifa violence? What was your timeline?
Whenever my NYU talk was the first time we started also being bodyguards. And we protected Michelle Malkin, Lauren Southern, Ann Coulter. I mean, saved them from serious injury. Ann Coulter will say we saved her life. She's a big fan of the Proud Boys. They're like the Guardian Angels. It's almost like we created a Guardian Angels division after that. But I hate the notion that it was a fun, kooky thing, and then it became a violent Nazi thing. No, still a fun, kooky thing. Like we have Westfest every year, and it's all drinking beer, and we have Margarita Boys night where we all wear Hawaiian shirts and stuff. And there's a boxing ring at the party and cocaine everywhere. Like it's still mostly peaceful, as CNN would say.
So,
but
is it just some of the Proud Boys are giving a bad name to the other ones, or is it just like some not great representatives wearing margarita shirts? What? There's got to be somebody that's in there that's not.
The media is lying. Here's an example, okay?
Okay.
Proud Boys are the only ones to fight back. The police are not stopping Antifa, so Proud Boys go, fine, we'll handle it. We like a good brawl. They want to fight, we'll fight. Mutual combat, I believe it's called. So in D.C. on Saturday, this black dude goes over to Harry's, which is a cop bar. It's like a right-wing bar. It's one of the only place conservatives are safe in D.C., which is a very liberal town.
Mm-hmm.
He goes over there with a knife in hand, looking to stab people. Proud Boys come out. They go, what the fuck are you doing? He's got a knife. He's got a knife. They try to tackle him, get the knife on him. He stabs 4 of them.
Okay, wait. How did he know that Proud Boys were going to be there? Or how did he know? Who was he going after with the knife? And how did the Proud Boys know that he was going to be coming there?
They didn't know.
Okay.
Everyone knew Proud Boys were in D.C. for this Million MAGA March thing.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
It was a big rally in D.C. And you know, if you've been to D.C., that all the conservatives at every conference, everything, they always go to Harry's.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing people don't get about D.C. is crime in D.C. right now is insane. There are super predators, as Hillary would put it, roaming the streets with knives, stabbing people for sport. It's so bad that the Washington Post will not deliver your paper before the sun comes out. You get your paper at like 8 a.m. there because it's not safe for them to be driving around at night. So
I worked there. Yeah, I worked there a long time ago, maybe 2006 to 2008. And that was when I worked there when the guy was just that sharpshooter that was just shooting people at gas stations. Remember that?
Yeah, the Muslim. No one mentions that it was a Muslim mass killer.
Yeah, I lived there then. It was frightening to be outdoors.
In New York, a bum comes up to you, hey man, can I? And you just go, no, and keep walking. In DC, I do the exact same thing. No. And he goes, you know what my name is? My name's Paul. You better remember that name when I fuck you in your ass.
You know, I don't know if I'm speaking for all women, but I mean, as a woman, sometimes the unhoused or homeless or whatever you want to call them, wherever you live, they will follow you like that. So maybe
In
they're
New
just
York.
in New York, in DC, they'll look at you and just follow and harass and taunt until you make an aggressive, crazy move. And then that's it. But it's insane that we have to do that.
It is. I wouldn't know.
And the housing that's off the trains in DC is always for the less fortunate. And so it gets a little more insane next to the train stations also.
I saw a guy by the train station once, a white guy. He had diarrhea running down his leg and just like underwear and no pants. What do you do with that? Like, you need a hose. You can't take him into a shelter. You put him on a gurney, and the gurney's covered in diarrhea and the whole ambulance reeks.
There should be public showers for that.
But anyway, so that's the truth, right?
Okay.
And the story becomes innocent black man minding his own business. He gets surrounded by white nationalists, Proud Boys, and they start attacking him. And then 4 people are stabbed. And they don't say who was stabbed. Like the 4 people who were stabbed in DC last weekend were Proud Boys. And then the headline becomes Proud Boys go to DC, people are stabbed. Like this guy was in intensive care with 2 major knife wounds. So the media is lying about people who are reacting to a violent situation. 2 weeks prior, also by Harry's, Enrique Tarrio, Bevelyn Beatty, 3 other Proud Boys are walking home. They hear this black kid go, I've been waiting for this all night. He's got a knife. They're attacking an old dude in a suit. I think they were hunting Trump supporters or maybe just hunting white guys. And so Bevelyn, black woman, she comes up and she's like, what the fuck? She gets stabbed so hard it goes through her lung. They stab Enrique Tarrio in the stomach. They cut this other Proud Boy across his face. Then they run away. The cops show up. The cops take them in the car and say, drive around. We'll try to see if we can find them. And the story from USA Today is that the stabbing incident in D.C., this is a different stabbing incident. I'm talking about 2 weeks ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It's yet another example of the police giving Proud Boys preferential treatment. And he was referring to the drive. So
they're trying to sell papers. People can't sell a newspaper to save their life right now. Whatever sells. B, I don't know if people understand the force that it takes to get through on a stab. Have you ever stabbed like a carcass? It takes a lot.
I stabbed someone this morning because they were taking too long out at the bank.
That's how you got that sweater. Fucking guy.
Sweater. No, that's the cops giving preferential treatment. They go, look, we don't have time to take you in. Just wear this sweater for 24 hours and we'll call it a Well, yeah, stabbing rarely kills people, but that's Bevelyn Beatty was in the hospital for 5 days. The knife went through her back into her lung.
No, I'm making this story more credible for you. I'm just saying that whoever that was doing that was doing it with serious intent to hurt. Right. Yeah, that is incredible amount of force that you have to have. That's crazy.
The stabbing 2 weeks ago when Bevelyn was stabbed, he thought this guy was punching him on his back. This guy who was stabbed. He's been stabbed twice in DC in 2 weeks. He thought he was punching him on his back, but he was stabbing him, but he was wearing a chest plate and a back plate. So the knife wasn't going through. So they were trying to kill these people. That's what DC is. It's like Portland and Seattle. The cops have no authority. It's a total war zone.
Now, your show, I want everyone, if everyone wants to listen to this, more of this, they can go to your show. My show is more about love and moving on and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. And earlier you said that maybe in a couple weeks you're going to get dumped. With everything that's happening in your life, with all the canceling and people trying to ban you, let's talk about how that does affect your relationship and your kids. What do you guys have discussions about this? How do you work together as a team? Like, what happens at the Mcinnis home?
Well, I've sat down with the elder kids and explained to them that there's lots of lies and your father's misunderstood. If it comes up, let me know. Mm-hmm. My eldest boy is a baseball guy, and that tends to be fairly MAGA, so he doesn't come across it. My daughter's kind of punky, and she'll come across it more, I guess, especially as she gets older. My youngest boy doesn't know what's going on. But with all 3 kids, I'm like Roberto Benigni in that movie, A Beautiful Life, where I'm like, hey, look over here. There's not a Holocaust going on. Yay. I sound like a Holocaust denier. Or I'm comparing my inconvenience to the Holocaust. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yes.
But with the wife, it's stressful. You know, she's got her new moms, but all her friends have written us off. And that she's a liberal, vegan, voted for Hillary, but all her friends, including her best friend from childhood, has said, I can't be around you because you're not divorcing Gavin, I guess. Like, don't they realize that would be the worst thing for the kids is us getting divorced? That's murder on kids. And this is one thing that pisses me off about divorce. Every time people talk about it, they talk about themselves and how I can have Thai food one night and I just ate out a chick an hour ago. That's what a guy just said to me actually last week. And I'm like, yeah. What about the kids?
Yeah.
They haven't had at least 50% less than they had before. You know, and a lot of being a dad is just being there like a security guard. You're there when they need you, but sometimes they don't need you for days. But you are there when they need you. You hear your daughter crying. Maybe she's got dumped or something, and you're there. Usually you have to get the mom for that. She doesn't want to talk to dad.
I think people like to have opinions about how people should live their life.
I have lots of opinions about how to live their life, and it's probably where you and I would disagree. My wife hates it when I talk about this, but here is my belief system.
Okay.
At 18, you have about 10 more years to go to find a mate.
Okay.
You should have at least 3
I found
kids.
all the mates then.
1 kid is for losers, 2 is for fags, 3 kids is the bare minimum. You should have 5. And if you want 5, you got to get started at 25. So stop. When you're at 25, don't date a comedian. Don't date a musician. They're all going to cheat on you. Don't date a photographer. They cheat too. Don't date anyone who's in like entertainment showbiz. They all cheat. And you want to find a man who is ambitious. He doesn't have to be rich. He could have some stupid job. Like I want to build these dolls, right? As long as he's up at 9 a.m. on a Monday working on that thing, get a ring on it. That's the guy for you. Now, as far as your ovaries go, the hourglass is turned upside down at 30. The sand is draining 30 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
35 is ancient as far as having kids goes. And having kids is why we're here on Earth.
I disagree. We're here on this earth because our parents fucked and now we're here.
We're all connected.
Yes.
You're connected to that caveman who ran from a saber-toothed tiger.
Oh, 1,000% I agree with you on that. I personally cannot have children. I try not to get feelings about anyone that says anything about age, especially based on science.
Did you have a hysterectomy?
No, I had cancer at 19. Became infertile.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
there we just gold. That's where it all comes from. You almost died. You had a hysterectomy or whatever happened to your ovaries.
I had half my tits taken out. I had ductal carcinoma, so that's why I've got perfect tits now. And yeah, I almost died. There we go.
Well, you just lost $100. I don't need to be your therapist anymore.
Yeah. So now I don't get into my feelings about kids. I have always wanted to have children, but I always think there's so many kids that are in the system that I can just foster. Don't take them for full. No, you know what I mean?
Lexi Page, she was an 1/50th Indian, and her parents that were foster parents are about to adopt her. The state took her away and put her with another 1% Indian family on some Indian reunification act. And the parents were hysterical. The siblings were hysterical. It's the most gut-wrenching story I've ever covered. Lexi Page is her name. Don't look it up if you don't have a Gatorade to rehydrate from how much you're going to be crying. No, just adopt. I know tons of people who adopt.
Oh, yeah. I'm planning on adopting. I'm just making a joke.
Gays seem to get kids. I don't understand why. I guess they pay a surrogate like $50,000. But all my friends end up with black kids. But there's plenty of black kids that want adopting.
Yeah, there's a ton of kids that want to be adopted and need to be adopted. And you should. But our adoption system does fucking suck. I mean, look at John Joseph, the Cro-Magnon man, right? He was in the foster system. And in New York City, and his foster parents made him live on a cot in the garage just because he was a $300 a week paycheck to them.
Yeah, John Joseph's story is fucking brutal. I think he was molested too. I saw a video recently where he was going to visit his mom and give her like some gift.
Yeah, his biological mom. He's back.
Like from Manhattan to way out in Coney Island or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, why are you giving her a gift? She's like, she ruined you. Well, she didn't ruin his life, but she tried to, in a sense. Like her negligence was almost murder.
I know.
But
crazy.
I'm saying adoption. Take it.
I'm planning on adopting. I just need to get into not now. My plan was to buy a home in Long Island. I was supposed to close March 3rd. Then coronavirus happened. It got pushed, and then coronavirus, and then all the funding closed down. So I lost my house because the real estate agent said they didn't want to wait anymore. My plan was move into a house, adopt some kids, be a good person. But
Wait a minute.
here we
With
are.
the guy?
Huh?
With the guy you're with?
No, by myself.
No. Children of single moms. I mean, it's better than being in an orphanage, I guess. But no, that's a huge disability. You need a man and a woman in a home.
Okay.
Who is this guy you're with now?
His name's Dave. He lives in Plano, Texas. Well, he lives in my house right now, but he's a data scientist. He's a nice person. He's 3 years older than me.
How old are you?
40.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Old mom.
Old mom. Yeah, but I'm a personal trainer.
And how long have you been dating him for?
Not long. 3 months? 4 months?
Okay. Would you marry him?
I would, if you wanted to, sure. I'm not really, I get claustrophobic in marriages, but I definitely was married to the wrong people. I just said yes.
Let me tell you, you need a man and a woman in a relationship. I'm at the airport coming back from Jamaica, and I hear this guy in the stall next to me wiping shit off his son's legs. His son was probably 5 or 6. And he's going, what the hell's the matter with you? You got to tell me when this is happening. Now we got this goddamn. And I can hear the kid crying like, he's like, a huge mess with the airport. Now we got to get on the plane. And he's flushing the shit tissues down. And then he's using the water I get full. Keep going. And I thought he was being a bit much. And I'm like, do I have to fight this guy? I'm shitting myself. So I can see and I think I'm going to keep an eye on the shoes. So when we get out there, I'll see. And, I may have to intervene. Mm-hmm. But he does. I don't hear like, psh, or anything. I just hear, God damn, what the hell is the matter with you? And so the kid's crying. He manages to clean his legs and his asshole, whatever, put his pants back on. I assume he threw his underwear in the garbage. And then he comes back to the waiting area. And then the mom is there. And he's so pissed at his son that he just gets on his phone. He doesn't even look at them. And then the mom holds the boy and he cries in her arms. They're both right. You shouldn't shit your pants. Come on. Literally get your shit together. But also, sometimes you shit your pants. I shit my pants yesterday. Dinner with Milo Yiannopoulos, I had to throw my underwear in the garbage.
No.
I was running home. I got home at 5 p.m. that day.
You were so fancy. I gave you a compliment on your outfit yesterday, and you shit your pants in your fancy outfit.
Oh, we had all this drama on Sunday with the company and some lawsuits and stuff. It's a long story. But to deal with the stress, I drank half a bottle of bourbon. So I was so hungover the next day that the fart was just like fluorescent yellow bile. It went plash on my underwear. Yeah, don't shit your pants. And sometimes you shit your pants. So you need the discipline of a father to go get it together. And you also need the sympathy of a mother to say, oh, well, poor you.
Yes.
I mean, definitely if the kid's facing an orphanage, get him into a home. But you really got to try to get that good old boy with the cowboy hat in your Long Island home.
Oh, my God. I went to the Badlands at the beginning of coronavirus and met a real cowboy. And I was like, oh, boy, hello. I will marry you right now. You don't even have to do anything. Yes, I agree with you on that men need to be men. And I do agree that it would be an ideal situation to have a man and a woman. But next level down, if we can get these kids out of the system, that's also a great option.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I mean, it would destroy my dating life.
It would decimate it. Decimate.
Nuclear bomb, done. I would never fuck again.
Single moms, I know, they'll have their one night out and they either become raging whores and suck the first cock that walks into the bar, or they'll sit with me and cry for like 2 hours about the guy that dumped them. And it's sort of like, I don't get out a lot either. So could we wrap this up and I could go talk to my friends, please?
Yeah, I know. So that was maybe the universe took over and was like, you're supposed to do some other things. But we'll see. We'll see. Have you ever been on the verge of breaking up with your wife and you were like, no, we have to keep this together for the kids?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's marriage. You think it's over all the time. But I say every time there's a divorce, it's the man's fault. You're steering the ship. Now, if it's like, oh, she was a crazy bitch and she crashed. Well, why were you letting her drive? It's sort of like Cape Fear, the Robert De Niro Cape Fear, when it gets pretty turbulent sometimes. You got to grab onto that wheel and hold the thing in place. You got to make sure, the fights are worked out and you figure out what's going wrong and you don't succumb to your anger. You got to keep it together for the kids. You're going to ruin their lives if you get divorced. I've heard everyone say, no, this one was fucking crazy. And to that, I go, why'd you marry her then? Like, why did you come in her and make babies with a fucking lunatic? Oh, she became crazy. Nah, I'm not buying it.
What, now you have a new challenge. Stripe is, do you want to talk about this Stripe? The Stripe situation?
That's changed. That's
Oh,
changing by the minute. I think our payment processors might be working out.
oh,
So
great.
I'm not going to get into it until we see what's going on.
Oh,
But you know
fantastic.
how banned I am. Like when I need a lawyer, I have to go through about 12 because they see my name and hang up. That's like this scorched earth that's come at me and my reputation is fucking insane. The fact that they've attacked my wife and kids too just shows you how ruthless and immoral the left has become.
Do you ever
This
feel
is what
discouraged?
well, there's two ways you can go with it, right? In the Boer War of was it 1900? The Boers were winning against the English. The English were too lugubrious. They even had a gym they would set up when they would build up camp. The Boers were just on horses with Gatling guns and ripping around. They would go to Germany and get the latest warfare, like the latest weapons. They were just pegging off the Brits like nothing. Then the Brits started burning down their homes, murdering their wife and children. And that's when they went, okay, I'm out. Take South Africa.
Jesus.
Well, with the American Revolution, the Brits did the same thing and the Patriots got mad. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going the Boer way. I'm going the American way. And I'm getting fucking more angry with every attack. And that's getting into lawfare and all kinds of shit. So, yeah, it's hard when they destroy your reputation, but I've genetically, I don't know, I'm Scottish. We were attacked by the English for 700 years. Those who don't like confrontation or adversity are extinct from my people. So I kind of like fighting.
I was going to have a therapist on to talk about not being a victim. And then I thought, what better man than Gavin to talk about not playing a victim role?
Well, when you let them win, just got to keep marching forward. I'm sure it's the same with cancer. You can just lie there and go, I'm going to die. Or you can just keep getting the medication, talking to your doctor, getting your tits removed and your ovaries ripped out. Just keep on fighting every day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I woke up, I never had a thought that it wasn't going to be okay. This is going to be great. I'll just be done with this in a little bit and lose some weight. No big deal. But yeah, I mean, for other cancer patients, I work with a lot of cancer rehab clients. So you see them go through their mix of emotions. And I'm like, your attitude has to be, I'm going to get through this or else you won't.
So many people have gotten through so much worse. Like, when people Sieg Heil me on the street or something, I'm thinking of mixed race couples in the 50s where they're getting bricks through their window and stuff like that. I mean, you become sort of numb to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
do you tell them to not do that to you?
Well, they usually attack when I'm with my youngest boy, my 7-year-old, and my puppy. So then they know I'm not going to go and fight them. If I'm alone, I always say the same thing. I go, if you want to fight, we can go outside right now. I'm happy to fight. If you want to debate, then we can sit down here. I'm happy to debate you. Otherwise, fuck off. I don't care what your opinion is. Nobody does. So get out of here. Or another line I like to do is, why are you making my problem? No, why are you making your problem my problem? The unfortunate part too is like I made it clear to people, if you have a problem with me, let me know. We'll sit and talk. Those people who would sit and talk and hear what you really are about and you're not a racist or whatever, they're curious people. The curious people, that ship is, they're never a problem. They're people who want to know the truth and they're not going to attack you or your kids. So they're almost like not worth talking to because they're intelligent and they're not an issue. It's the incurious, the people that don't want to talk to you. Those people have the Nazi, I call them not-see glasses. They have the Nazi glasses on and you can't change their mind. So we're in a strange situation in America where the cool people already know that there's not Nazis everywhere and the retarded people are insalvageable.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I can't say that I'm not guilty of that because after our little scuffle, I marked you off as, what everyone is saying about you is probably true. And then I watched your How to Fight a Baby video and I laughed a lot and it was hilarious. And I was like, anybody that can make a video like this is a human being. And
people want Nazis. They want racists because it explains everything. And Trump has to be a white nationalist. They need that as the grand explainer. Anything wrong with the world is Nazis. So I did a video called How to Fight a Baby, and people got that I don't literally want to fight a baby. I did a video called 10 Things I Hate About the Jews, and they took that literally because they want to. They've never seen the video. They've never seen that it's satirical, but they want there to be a Nazi so bad that they go, "You made that video, he's a Nazi." And they run with it.
I mean, you make a lot of list videos. You have the 10 ways to annoy your wife, right? And yes, it's very funny. It's funny. I should give this guy another chance.
Yeah. Well, you're curious.
Yes.
My favorite thing to do to my wife is, this is one of the only times I crack myself up. I go up to her and I go, "I got my underwear out of the dryer and I put them on and they weren't dry yet. So the bottom was still wet. And now I feel like what you feel when you have a wet pussy."
Oh my God.
And she's just like, get away from me. And then I was standing there like with my hand on my prostate going, "I feel like I have a wet pussy now."
I obsessively cleaned the house and I was washing his fresh drawers and his underwear weren't dry all the way. And I was like, they'll probably dry a little bit more in his drawer. And then I was like, nah, just dry them all the way. So, yeah, I did that for him. So he wouldn't have the wet. I don't want him to have a wet pussy. I want him to have a dick. You know what I mean? Well, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you since you're not on Twitter?
Censored.tv. And I'm also on Parler as Gavin Mcinnis.
Beautiful. And I'm glad that we were able to do this. It was lovely to see your nice, sweet human side. I know it's there. It's right on the surface. What is your podcast called? I know what it is, but what is it for everyone?
Get Off My Lawn. Oh yeah, the podcast is also still on iTunes. We do this show free for half an hour a week on where all podcasts are found. Get Off My Lawn. But Censored.tv has a million shows and new content every day. I basically just stole Anthony Cumia's idea.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad that we did this again. Everyone check him out. And please follow Happy Never After Podcast on Instagram and Twitter at HNA Pod. And you can follow me directly at Mara Merrick or through BeFrankNetwork.com. Thank you, Gavin. Have a happy holiday. See ya.
Bye.